Well, it's spring. The gardens are starting to flower. And one of the things that happens in spring is that the lawns grow very fast. The grass grows much faster in winter. And so that's the lawnmower down in my shed. And I've had it out last week. And it's going to be out a lot more next term, particularly because the grass grows very, very fast at this time of year. Now, while I was mowing the lawns this week, some of you really didn't remember that a lawnmower is a very dangerous machine. Underneath it, there are blades that whiz around to cut the grass, and it's very, very important that we keep clear. Do you know, during this week, I was doing the lawns, and some of you were shooting across the front of the lawnmower as if it weren't there. I even had someone walk past and they got flicked by a piece of bark coming out from under the lawnmower. And they looked at me as if one of the great mysteries of the universe had occurred. Well, if you walk next to a lawnmower, you're likely to get flicked by little bits and pieces that come off the ground. And so when I'm mowing the lawns next term or even this week, keep clear. A noisy, dangerous machine is something we need to be aware of, not as a invisible object that we can just dance around. It's very, very important that we are aware of what's going on and keep clear of a machine like a lawnmower. Now, when I went to school, it was in the 1970s, late 1960s and early 1970s. And in those days, it was an unusual time of history where men actually dressed like that to go to work. And here were a couple of teachers, typical sort of teachers, in what we used to call walk shorts. And sometimes they would even wear sandals with their socks. And sometimes, when it was very hot, they'd wear sandals without socks. And we had a teacher at Titirangi School, where I went in the 1970s, called Mr. Hurst, who wore sandals without socks. And one of the things we noticed is that he didn't have a toe on one of his feet because he had run it over with a lawnmower and chopped it off. That's how dangerous they can be. That's why when you do the lawns, you must wear heavy footwear. And if you're not mowing, keep away from the lawnmower because we don't want any Mr. Hursts at our school. Now, one other thing to finish. I've discovered this term and in previous terms that I can predict the words that are going to come out of your mouth without uh, telling you what to say. I know exactly what you're going to say. And this is because sometimes when I'm walking around with my hands full, I'll point at a piece of rubbish like that and just say, "Would you pick that up, please?" Do you know what the magic words that I hear are? It wasn't me. Sometimes I just point at it. I say, just point at it and look. It wasn't me. Sometimes I will say, look at that, that's a mess. And do you know what the magic words are? It wasn't me. Uh, I don't think I've ever asked the question, was that you? I just really want to get the rubbish cleaned up and make us aware that it's good not to have rubbish all around the school. So when someone says to you, could you pick that up, please? The question isn't who dropped it. The question is, could you please help and pick that up? And so let's see if we can make my predictions false so that I don't know what you're going to say. Of course, some of you say, yes, I'd be very happy to help, which is a lovely thing to hear. Now, let's finish with a very spectacular surprise that came right at the end of the week. Look at that. That is the Nikau flower that erupted out of the palm next to the hall. It comes out of a little thing that's sometimes called a purse. It's like the sleeve that the flower comes in, and it sheds the sleeve, and ta-da! Out comes this fantastic flower. It looks like it's from outer space, tentacles and some sort of a monster. Uh, I found some of these snapped off on the ground. There's no need to destroy something as magnificent as that. Let's leave it there in one piece and just admire it for a while. It will fall off of its own accord in due course. But look at that. Let's finish with that. At the end of the term, just reminds us that at our school we get these spectacular and wonderful surprises, and we look forward to next term to finish off the year.